If you like grits, you're gonna love this breakfast bowl. Come on, let's get started.
Todo queda sabroso.
So we wanted to continue in our Savoring Wellness series. If you haven't checked out the series, you can do so at the end of this video. But the next several videos will be focused on breakfast. And who doesn't love a great breakfast? From pancakes to waffles to bacon. But these items are usually high in calories. So we went to our local Sprouts market to pick up some healthier options that are not only delicious, but are packed with vitamins and minerals and natural ingredients. But first, we're starting off with these homemade oven-dried tomatoes. Here I have some fresh grape tomatoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash these, pat them dry with a paper towel, cut them in half, and then place them on a sheet tray. And then we're going to place it in a very low oven. Okay, so now I have my tomatoes that have been washed and cut in half. And all I'm going to do now is just give them a sprinkling of kosher salt. And this is going to go into that 250-degree oven for 3 hours. Yeah, you heard right, 3 hours. So essentially, we're drying these tomatoes out. So at the end of 3 hours, what you'll see is a more condensed, flavorful grape tomato. So now that I live in the South, I can't use just any old grits. That's why we're using stone ground grits. These grits are from a company called Palmetto Farms, and this is a mixture of white and yellow corn. You can get either white or yellow, or in this case, a mix. Okay, so to a sauce pot, I'm going to add some chicken broth. So cooking the grits in the chicken broth will allow for less salt. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. I wanted to show you up close the grits. As you can see, it's still pretty coarse, and that's because it's stone ground. And so to the 4 cups of chicken broth, I'm gonna add 1 cup of the stone ground grits. And I always add the grits, I like to add it cold. That way it won't clump up. Then once it's mixed, then I turn on my heat. I wanna bring that to a boil. Okay, now that it's coming to a boil, I'm going to reduce the heat and cover it and let it simmer for 20 to 25 minutes. We're gonna accompany this with some chorizo, but not the traditional chorizo. I wanted to make this dish vegetarian, so we're doing a jackfruit chorizo along with this 7 chorizo seasoning mix, which is a great product if you don't wanna buy all the different types of spices. This is a great product to have. Okay, so here we have the jackfruit that's been sitting in that water, and it's very tender. It shreds up almost like if you were like doing pulled pork. But for this application, I'm going to dice it up because I want it to resemble like chorizo sausage. And we'll put it back in our bowl. Okay, to a saute pan, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. And then we have our jackfruit chorizo. Okay, so here I have some fresh collard greens. I'm going to take the hard fibrous stem from the collard, which runs right down the middle. And then we'll just cut the collards into more bite-sized, manageable pieces. Season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, some crushed red pepper flakes. And I add a little bit of red wine vinegar, a little splash of hot sauce, and I like to add a little bit of sugar. Here I'm using cane sugar, about a half a teaspoon. Mix that around. Now you could cook these longer, but I want this to have a little bit of body and a little bit of bite, so I'm going to pull it off now. Okay, so here we have our grits. Nice and creamy, cooked all the way through. It's been 25 minutes. Now, normally we would add a ton of butter, some cheese, but because we're trying to keep this healthy, we're not going to add those things except for some goat cheese. Now, goat cheese is the healthier option when it comes to cheeses because it's lower in sodium, it's lower in fat. So this is a really good choice. And this is going to make our grits nice and creamy. I'm using half of this and I'm just going to whisk that in. Okay, so now we're ready to plate up. I'm just going to add to my bowl. Then I'm going to add my collard greens right here, that jackfruit chorizo. Then I have the oven-dried tomatoes that we did earlier. I'm gonna add some of those. And then I poached some eggs earlier. Just like that. And to kind of mimic hollandaise, I took that goat cheese and I blended it with some ají amarillo. I'm gonna add that on top of the eggs to mimic hollandaise sauce. A more healthier hollandaise sauce. And then we're going to garnish with some fried sage leaves. And there we have it. Grits breakfast bowl. Sabroso.
Todo queda sabroso.